Thank you. Sorry.
All right. Welcome to the Personnel Committee meeting for Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. Following information is also provided to members of the public that would like to view the meeting remotely. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. Open meeting to order, and first item on the agenda is any public comment from committee members or the public. Go ahead, Wendy.
Sorry, and I've got dogs barking now on cue. That's just how it rolls. One thing I wanted to say, in being a new member to this committee, I have used the mission statement as a guide in what my charge is as a committee member. I personally feel many of these language changes, including ones tonight regarding grievance and layoff, may limit an SAP employee from seeking or receiving equitable treatment or resolution to issues. And I understand we do have a timeline as a committee if we want to put any link of these proposed language changes forward to have the ability to bring them to the town meeting floor. But I don't personally feel comfortable voting on some of these additional sections without further clarity as to exactly what our role or charge is on this committee. Thank you.
Joanna?
Is Donna with us? I don't know.
She's on the phone.
Oh, okay, perfect. I didn't know who we had for committee here. Thanks. But Wendy, it's funny you say that. I reached out to Eric and asked if he could add to the agenda public comment, board comment at the beginning and the end, because I had a public comment as well. And I think there's confusion for me, between the board members of the personnel committee and what the charge is, as in adhering to the agenda, as in, hold on one second, please. Adhering to the charge of the personnel committee, where I feel that it's to balance the EAP, the SAP employees, as well as the town resources, town administration, but it's also to balance the benefits of the SAP employees. And I think there's members that feel we're not here for that, more to support town manager and the town administration side. So before I vote on any other recommendations, I really need to, I feel as a committee, we need to come to consensus on what the roles and responsibilities of the personnel committee is, and to make sure we all have a clear understanding of that. I've talked to several people. I got 4 phone calls today. I've talked to several people that were on the charter, previous selectmen I've reached out to try to figure out, because I read the charter, I read the SAP, is that we're to balance the employee as well as administration. And again, please, everybody on this call, when I say administration, I don't say Heather, Julie, any person, I'm talking positions, because we might have a great administration today, but Heather could leave us and we could get a new town manager. And so please always know this is never about a person, it's about positions. When we say town manager, it's not Heather, it's not Julie, it's those positions I speak of. Please know that up front. This is in the SAP, what the title is that we refer to. And I just feel I will not vote or move on till we as a committee have an understanding and agreement to what the roles and responsibilities are. Thank you.
All right. I mean, I guess I like to respond to Wendy and Joanna. I mean, the Personnel Committee, our kind of role is described in, I guess, the preamble in section 1. There's not a lot there. I think we all understand that we're supposed to strike a balance between the interests of the town and the interests of the employees. So I guess my question would be, what do you think we don't understand? And if, yeah, so I guess I don't know what the end goal is here of that both of you are looking for. Yeah, Wendy.
I guess some true clarity in reading this. Is it the level of involvement with administration of the plan? It's if I read the mission statement, which I could do, and I have here, but it makes me feel that the Personnel Committee would have some more involvement, particularly in a grievance issue, in a few of these issues where we're looking to change language that would really kind of move us out. So trying to figure out what is our charge to know whether that is appropriate language. Because it will have an effect now and potentially more in the future. So what I'm trying to figure out is really, where is that role? I mean, walking the line of it, it's, as it says in the mission statement, in conjunction with town manager. So to me, that feels more as if we have more of a role in some cases. And that's where my concern with some of the language comes in.
So I guess if you feel that way, you would vote that way, right? If someone else doesn't feel that way, they may vote differently, which I think is perfectly fine. I mean, you're talking about interpreting a very kind of vague document. In my time on the Personnel Committee, we've never dealt with a grievance. I'm just looking at the language, changes in our kind of working document. There's nothing being taken out that I see that says, well, we used to hear grievances and now we won't, but maybe I'm missing something if that's what you're referring to. But I don't know that. I mean, we have 9 jurors on the Supreme Court that interpret the Constitution. They don't all agree, and that's their job to interpret it, right? And I don't know that we necessarily have to agree on our interpretation of the mission of the Personnel Committee, and I don't know that that's possible. Barb, you have your hand up.
Yes, sorry, I have a cough. I was raising my hand to thank Wendy and Joanna, only because that's exactly why we keep appearing at these meetings, is that the Personnel Committee, in the history of me being employed by the town of Lunenburg, I have felt that the Personnel Committee has been here to be a go-between, basically, or to support those employees on the SAP, as well as the taxpayers of the town, as it states. But that's always how I had felt it to be, and it just seemed like it was shifting, and I got concerned. So I just wanted to thank Wendy at first, and then Joanna as well, to bring up that point. That's all. Thanks.
And I with what Wendy said, Wendy joined us, and in the second meeting, Wendy read all that, and her first interpretation was, reading the changes, that it was looking to take power away from, or authority or responsibility away from, because I don't want to say power, authority away from the personnel committee and give it to the town manager. And as I read all the suggested changes, that's how I felt. And Wendy just joined this, so had no backlog history. And I've only been on for less than a year, or it might be just a year now. But so that was the interpretation for me. Now, Sue, I think you have been here for a while, but I know in 2010, there was actual verbiage of a grievance procedure. And now if there's a department head, and I'm just going to use Barb because her hand's still up and her name's the first thing on my screen. But if Barb is disciplined for something within the personnel contract, and the town, she reports to the town manager as a department head, the town manager doesn't agree with Barb, Barb has no other avenue to go. And I just don't think that's fair. In any of our other groupings, they have a union they can go to, and then that union representative would meet with the town manager. They would have a conversation about Barb's side, their side, and try to come to some type of mediation agreement, some type of collaborative agreement to walk away from. And I feel for these, I believe 18 people or 17 people, if there's a decision made by the town manager or the assistant town manager that administer with us the salary plan, they have no avenue to go to. And we took that totally away with what we voted on at our last meeting. And I feel like layoffs were first, what is it? First hired, last fired. Yeah. So, and now with layoffs, there's no seniority involvement whatsoever. So people that have been here for years, so that's another thing that's coming out, and that's an employee thing, that someone that could have 25 years could be out of a job that versus someone that was hired 6 months ago because they work at the DPW. Well, I'm getting way out of contents of public comment, so I don't want to keep rambling on. But these changes, there's a lot of changes that are taking away any employee right going forward for job security, and I'm very uncomfortable about them.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I hear that the word union brought up a lot. I'm a former union rep for a teachers union. I was on negotiating committees and all that. But the SAP exists because there are certain employees that aren't part of a union. And I don't think that makes us a new union, just not in name.
So what's our role, Eric?
Well, it's spelled out in the documents, right?
Right,
So, I mean,
we're here to administer this plan.
right. So I guess my point is, if past committees had language in there that says, hey, we're going to hear all grievances of any SAP employees, and they voted for that, then that's what they did. That existed, right? And at some point, I think you said 2010, it disappeared because they voted for it and it disappeared. If you want to propose that some new language that gets added in there, you certainly can do that as part of the personnel committee, and we can take a vote on it.
We did last week and it was voted down.
Okay, then I guess
Well, because you don't feel that.
what I'm hearing is because it didn't, a vote didn't go the way you wanted it to, that means we don't know what we're supposed to be doing on the personnel committee. I just think we have different views of what that might be. But we're not a union. And I think if the SAP employees are looking for a union, that's like totally separate from us, right? I mean, there's nothing to prevent them from forming their own union or joining an existing union that I'm aware of.
Okay, so I've explained, Wendy's explained what we feel the drive of the personnel committee is. Could you please share with us what you feel what your drive as a member of this board that you're appointed to is?
Sure, I'm just as the documents say, I'm here to represent the SAP employees and the interests of the towns. And we work out there, the working conditions as spelled out in the SAP plan. We review and modify the salary grid every 3 years generally.
So you feel we are here for the employee as well?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Barb?
Yep, I just, my question, and, you know, Joanna brings up the grievance that was voted down last meeting. Was that initiated by the Personnel Committee or by Town Manager? Was it brought up because the majority of the committee wanted that removed? I was very shocked to see Labor Council being brought in. I understand that Heather's trying to get all our agreements and, you know, bylaws all in line with law. But
Barb, what part specifically are you referring to?
what you and Joanna were just talking about,
I
where the
think Joanna
grievance,
was talking about some language that was there in 2010. I'm not sure what language.
the
current
grievance
language.
section that was discussed at the last meeting, that was removed by vote last meeting. And my question, you said, well, this is what the committee wants now. This is the committee makeup currently, but I am asking, was that initiated even by the Personnel Committee?
Number 6 on Merrick's O'Connell's page.
So-
2.
So I believe that what the lawyer was brought in just to make sure that we haven't looked at it for quite a long time and that the language still fit. So it was just an update to make sure that it matched what the charter had. And so they were recommendations from the council just to say, you should look at these because things might need to be clearer or things might need to be better tied to the town charter. And, you know, to Joanna and Wendy's point, I've been here, this is my 5th year, and I've never felt as though that I was destined to be in an operational mode, but I was here to really guide what the SAP said and did, and that the policies that we recommended to the select board were in line with what we felt was fair and equitable treatment, but not that we would ever be involved in, say, a grievance. In 5 years, that's never come before us. So that wasn't part of what I thought our charter was, and I still believe it's not what our charter is. There are avenues for the employees to go to now, and I don't think we need to add the Personnel Committee to that.
Can
For
you
the
explain what
operational
that-
side of that, to hear a grievance is an example.
Could you explain what that process is?
What the grievance process is?
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
yes.
My sense is I haven't read the charter, so I haven't seen it in the charter. But it's, so an employee could go to their manager, and then depending upon what layer it is, Joanna, they could go to the manager above that, and ultimately they could go to the town manager. But my sense is, in all the time that I've been here, I've never heard that we have a problem. So I'm not sure. We seem to have a lot of anxiety about what this is. When have we had a problem that we're trying to fix? Is there a big gaping hole that I don't know about?
So I can tell you, we've never dealt with a grievance because it's not in the charter. It's not part of our role. We did not remove it since, you know,
Correct.
you or I have been on this committee. The language that was removed last week that Barb is referring to was a phrase, inequitable treatment. And the town council or the lawyer mentioned that he felt that was too broad, that since it is about the SAP plan, that received inequitable treatment should be replaced with subject to a violation of the salary administration plan. That's basically all we did, other than add the sentence at the end that said the town manager's decision shall be final and binding. But it does, the grievance procedure is in there about reporting it to your department head or to your direct supervisor. And then if that, you know, if they want to go up to the next step, to the department head. And I believe we added, I don't know if it's made it into any updated text, but we added language, or we talked about adding language about, you know, putting the assistant town manager in there and then town manager, since that was a new role a couple of years ago. But we, you know, again, we haven't heard any grievances because we're not part of the grievance. So if, I know if some members, wanted to see us become part of the grievance procedure, that's fine. But again, others, I don't think are wrong to not see that as our role. But I mean, ultimately, all of us that have a job, someone's eventually deciding the status of a grievance. And, you may get the answer you want, you may not, but I think there is, well, it doesn't really matter what I think, I guess, but I mean, the grievance procedure is outlined in the SAP. Any other public comment from board members or the public? All right, Julie, I did see in your, I think in the message or the Zoom meeting link that there's definitely a hard stop of 6:30 because someone else is using the Zoom link in town. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Does the board, kind of last week or a couple weeks ago, we went on indefinitely until someone said, hey, enough's enough. Do we want to set a earlier time, or is 6:30 doable? I imagine this could take, there may be another meeting needed, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't know that we'll finish all this work tonight.
So the other committee that's coming on needs it at 6:30, then we would need to be off sooner, or is it?
Theirs is at 7, so we have to get off at 6:30.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were 7 or if it was a 6:30. Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be, I don't think we're going to cover the remainder in an hour, plus the salary schedules. That's going to take time, the salary grids. So definitely going to be another meeting or two. And then once all the changes are made, we'll have another meeting providing the updated or revised SAP before we present it to the bylaw review committee.
All right, so I guess as of now, we'll plan on ending it at 6:30 and we'll see where we are. So the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from January 31st.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of January 31st.
Joanna, was that you?
Yes.
I couldn't hear you. Okay.
I heard a
A
second.
second?
Okay, any discussion?
And Julie, thanks for getting those up on the website, the 24th minutes. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Clerk's office actually does that.
Oh, but you give them to the clerk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, all those in favor, Wendy,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. Next item is just to the ongoing business of discussing recommended changes to the SAP bylaw. I have in my notes that we left off on, I'm looking at kind of summary of suggested changes by Mark Terry. And it's on, I have a note that we left on item number 8, which is we call section 70-18 paid vacation. That's where we left off. And the believe that is, so yeah, and the other document that I'm looking at, it's on page 7, the kind of marked up one that Julie shared with us. It's called section 17 paid vacations. And And in this one, I know he updated his recommendation that we don't get rid of receive. He had suggested adding or changing receive to accrue, and now I believe he's, after reviewing that, he said, no, don't do that. Keep it as receive. And then there's some recommended changes under, well, there's a date of by May 1st that was added. He says he recommends inserting a date by which an employee must request a carryover additional vacation. May 1st was what he put. The goal is to give the employee a sufficient amount of time to use the vacation leave before the end of the fiscal year if the requested carryover vacation leave is denied. Any discussion on that date suggestion of May 1st? Barb, your hand's up. I don't know if that's old or if you want to comment on this.
Oh, it's a new one. This is just my own perspective, but the year end is crazy. May 1st and June are usually very crazy months. And you sometimes do not know. There could be sickness or, someone resigns or whatever. And you may not know that far back from the end of the fiscal year. So I was just kind of surprised that was entered in there, the May 1st. Heather, do you know if that was because, or Julie, because of the bylaw review or?
No, I think what Mark was probably doing was making it similar to the collective bargaining agreement language dates of May 1st.
Okay. Again, a lot of these people are department heads, and 2 months at year end is just a difficult time to be able to predict that far in advance. It's just my point.
What was it previously?
I don't think there was a date previously. Was there any sort of?
Was there practice?
I don't know. One.
Well, the policy also allows for an extension to be done for extenuating circumstances. Does that help it, Barb?
Is that an additional? Where is that, Sue?
It's just below where May 1st was entered.
Says any employee asserting a serious extenuating circumstance must submit a written request to his or her direct supervisor, and such request must be approved by the direct supervisor and the town manager before the employee shall be compensated for or allowed to carry over such excess.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
I would just add, I think the way that's worded too is probably because it allows sufficient time for to realize if there's funds actually available for a payout towards towards the end of the year versus a carryover.
So there's a financial element.
The new fiscal year, does that start on July 1? So is this language saying that, I mean, it's not saying that you have to request any vacation time by May 1st, is it? Or is it, this is just the vacation time in excess? Or that you want to carry over?
No, to receive a payout, I believe. So to receive compensation equivalent to the unused portion. So if they're not able to use their vacation by the end of the fiscal year, to request to be paid out that unused portion instead of carrying over.
It also has or may be allowed to carry over.
Right, and that doesn't have a date. It's just May 1st date, I think, is strictly because it's the period ends, I think, is related to, or, okay. It does say, or may be allowed to carry over such excess.
So the practice has been that they could get paid out?
I'm trying to think of a scenario where this typically doesn't happen. Maybe Nancy doing payroll, you can recall a more recent situation.
Nancy, are you there? Can you tell us what the practice is?
Well, it has to be approved by the town manager to be carried over or paid out.
Okay,
It's gone both ways, really, and it really didn't come into play until COVID hit, when people couldn't use their vacation for whatever reason.
okay.
I do believe there may have been a couple payouts or one payout, one carryover. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
Okay. So it seems as though this gives it some flexibility for approval for those extenuating issues should they come up.
right. I think Barb's point was just that they may not, people may not know by May 1st if they're going to be able to use that vacation in May or June, depending on circumstances. So if you don't request it by May 1st, then you just lose it. So I think that was her point.
And can I ask what the reasoning is to add May 1st? I know someone did, I didn't retain it, I apologize.
I think it was a budgeting well, there were two reasons given. One was because the other union contracts have some similar language of May 1st, and the other was that it helps with budgeting, so that if people are requesting payouts, they would know if town has the money. Those are the two I heard. If someone, it says above, earned vacation time up to and including 80 hours must be used in the year granted. So this whole May 1st date, it just comes into play if someone thinks they're not going to use their 80 hours. Is that correct, Heather?
Or it could be a situation where they haven't over 80 hours of time. So, I'm sorry.
I guess I'm confused because
yeah.
it says
Yeah.
they have there's
So
a line
80
that says earned vacation time in excess of 80 hours should be used in the year granted. No portion of such excess shall be carried forward into a subsequent year. So it seems to be saying you have to use all your vacation time and you can't carry it over. But yet there is a way that you can carry it over if you get permission.
It's the reverse. So the 80 hours. So in excess of 80 hours, they would have to use during that fiscal year. But if at the end of the year, they had 80 hours they weren't able to use, they could request a payout or a carryover.
So it seemed that May 1 is
Mr.
just a statement for planning.
Mr. Chair, this is Dawn.
Yeah.
I have a
Dawn.
question. What is the practice of the other municipal entities that we're trying to get in line with the date? What is their practice around extra vacation time? Do they do payouts?
Do you know the answer to that, Heather?
I'm just trying to understand that particular avenue, doing a payout versus, I mean, I have no problem with somebody requesting to put them, carry it over, but I've never heard of a payout situation. Not in my experience. So that's why I'm asking the question.
We do have that. I believe it's in all of the agreements now. You have to look at DPW. But yes, they have either option to request that. And so the reason the payout language is there is so it doesn't compound the liability, financial liability. You know, they receive that payout at the end of the fiscal year and just start fresh.
So basically up until, well, currently, if someone, it's June 15th and someone says, I'm not gonna be able to use this vacation time, they would be able to receive a payout for that or carry it over. That's one of those two options. And this language will basically just say, well, you can't do it June 15th, you'd have to do it by May 1st.
Yeah, to request it by them. Yeah.
And the request could be denied at any time, like whether it's June 15th or with this new language of May 1st, it's not like a guarantee.
Right. It's basically they're asserting, you know, their extenuating circumstances why they couldn't take that vacation time during the remainder of the year.
I can't imagine this happens too many times because we certainly would want all of our employees to take their time off.
Yeah, I can't say it's, you know, very frequent either. Yeah, it does happen, but it's not, you know.
Nancy?
I was wondering if something could be put into place there. Say you don't request it by May 1st because you're going to take 2 weeks in June, and then somebody resigns or retires or is sick and you can't take that time. Could there be something put in if there was an extenuating circumstance after the extenuating circumstance that you, after May 1st? I mean, things happen with others that you can't control. If someone were to, you know, if you're a two-person office and one of those people is out for a month because they're sick, you can't take the time, but it's after May 1st, then you would lose that vacation through no fault of your own.
I can't imagine that in those situations, the administration would be asking the employee to not take the time. So therefore, it wouldn't necessarily be the employee's request, it would be the office director's request. So I would think that that would be a very good reason to approve it.
Julie?
I was just gonna say that DPW also references May 1st.
Heather?
And I was gonna say if it's this much, you know, debate on this date, just to leave out the date and leave it as it is. To add additional language to make it, you know, more process, I think doesn't make sense.
Well, so here's one other option. If we put the date by May 1st, but add it also to address what Nancy mentioned, where the last sentence there says, any employee asserting a serious extenuating circumstance. If we could add, comma, even after May 1st, comma, must submit, right? So it's basically saying if there is someone planned a vacation, didn't make the request by May 1st because they have something planned, something comes up, whether it's on the town side or their own personal side, death in the family, whatever. It's just making clear that extenuating circumstance, they could make a new request after that May 1st deadline to their direct supervisor, which I don't think that's not clear now. That it's certainly not, well, I think the existing language was clear because there was no date. But now that we're adding the date of May, if we did add the date of May 1st, I think you need to make it clear that extenuating circumstances that come up after May 1st, that those would be considered too, and not just automatically denied.
I think given that there aren't that many cases, if we just don't put in the May 1st, it'll accomplish the same thing.
I think you're correct. Well,
And I think it's a small thing that happens.
It is, and with the rationale for the potential change being budget planning, if it's really not happening with much frequency, then there really probably wouldn't be a whole lot of planning needed, so.
I'd be okay with that.
okay, so what I'm hearing is get rid of the by May 1st suggestion. I know there's some other things in this. This is where it gets kind of messy. I don't know if there's other things in this section. Do we go through those all now, or do you want to just vote on this May 1st date? Just to get that out of the way, because people may feel differently about the other suggestions.
It might be easier to vote this one.
All right. All right, so I hear a motion on the May 1st date.
I make a motion to keep current language as is and not add May 1st.
I second that.
I can second that. Okay.
All in favor, Sue,
Yeah, aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna?
Aye.
Donna?
Aye.
And Eric's and I. All right, the next recommendation was, he recommended shortening paragraph C to state employment termination. Employee whose employment ends shall be paid for all accrued but unused vacation leave. This is consistent with legal requirements. And the language that was there was a little more wordy and seems more complicated. So I think he just kind of simplified it by saying that an employee whose employment ends shall be paid for all accrued but unused vacation leave. Any discussion on that? There was another section or kind of item A below that, where again, it like spelled out in detail, all currently available unused, blah, blah, blah. So he basically crossed all that out and I think just made it very simple and clear, which is usually a good thing.
Does that also include anything that's carried over, or is the carryover an agreement, between individuals rather than a legally binding agreement?
Well, if it's carried over, it's their vacation time, and this basically says they're going to get paid for it. For unused vacation leave. That's the language.
But this is upon a termination, correct?
Right.
Correct.
It's an employment end,
So,
so it's
yeah,
kind of,
in my experience, and help me understand what other entities, municipal entities in the town do. But in my career, if the policy for the company was, you get 2 weeks vacation, and I may have asked my boss if I can hold over some, and they may have said sure. But if I was terminated, I would only be paid for the time that was due to me in that year, that fiscal year. And I wouldn't get paid for any agreement I may have had with my boss to hold over some days. That's why I'm asking legally, what is the charge here?
So the language currently says it's called employment termination. And it says an employee whose employment ends, whether voluntary resignation, retirement, or involuntary termination, shall receive compensation equivalent to earned vacation allowance, provided he or she has been in the continuous service of the town for 10 months as follows, and then it goes on. So the new language that he's suggesting is an employee whose employment ends shall be paid for all accrued but unused vacation leave, period. So the current language says they're going to get paid for all their
All the time, yeah.
earned vacation allowance, whether they were fired or whether they, retired. And the suggested language says the same thing. It just makes it a little simpler. So there's no substantive change that I can see.
I can provide an example if this helps. So we had an employee that was with us for a couple of months. And the question came up based on the language that is now striked out, but was current, that this person wouldn't receive their vacation payout for those months of service because it said they had to be with the town for 10 months. That's not legal. You have to pay their vacation time for what they have earned up until that point of separation.
Right.
So if that helps.
Yeah,
Got
no,
it.
I understand that. I understand that. I understand that legal part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie.
Heather, Eric, I don't see accrued in there. I only see shall be paid for unused vacation. Am I looking at the wrong version? I'm looking at the one you mailed out this week.
Oh, I'm looking at maybe the older one. Let me.
The one that she mailed out yesterday.
Yeah.
Has accrued taken out.
yeah.
It's just unused, which to me is the correct word.
I was
if
looking
it's
at my
unused,
paper
you've earned
copy.
it.
But I got to recycle that paper copy now. I'll go buy the new one. Yeah, so you're right. An employee whose employment ends shall be paid for all unused vacation leave. Period.
So to me, unused is what they've earned.
It's kind of an accrual though, because if you look above in the chart, and Nancy chime in, where it says the hours of paid vacations based on a 40-hour week. So you get 8 hours per each full calendar month. So
Right.
in a sense, it's kind of an accrual.
It's an accrual, but you earn that and then it's yours.
Right. So I
it's
personally like the word accrued better than unused, but I guess they mean the same.
I think we should put in what the attorney recommended, paid for all accrued but unused vacation leave.
The first recommendation he made, right, in the red.
not the recent one. Add
Yeah.
accrued.
Yeah,
I agree with that too.
then there's no confusion.
Right.
Okay,
About-
that makes sense.
So Eric, the version you just recycled.
All right. So also in this section, there is says in paragraph D, recommends deleting the third and last sentences. This is not intended to make a substantive change. I don't know what paragraph D is. Anyone know what he's referring to there? Is that the all currently available line?
I think that was the anniversary. Where was it?
Isn't that the letter A?
I thought it was the any change in the rate of accrual should occur on the employee's anniversary date. That those last two sentences.
Oh, okay. So if that's paragraph D, the paragraph says the vacation year shall begin July 1. He's saying the third delete, they're just not crossed out in our version here, but he's saying the third and last sentences. So the third sentence is 1, 2, 3. Any change in the rate of accrual shall occur on the employee's anniversary date. That. And when an employee's anniversary date for the completion of the 5th, 10th, and 20th years occurs after July 1, the employee shall receive vacation leave for the remainder of the year on a prorated basis. Nancy?
Yeah, I think, Heather, didn't we discuss this when we met with you that it wasn't going to be taken out?
Yeah, because I think it helps clarify those situations by leaving it in when those have come up. With taking it out, I think it would cause more confusion.
All right. Paragraph E.
What paragraph were you just talking about? I'm really confused here.
I'm on the document that you sent out. I'm on page 9.
Yep.
And so the one we were just talking about was at the very top of the page of page 9.
Okay,
And
mine
that's-
starts with 20th. That's the first. I have 20th years occurs. Or are you looking at the new one? This is so,
I'm looking at the
Okay.
new one.
okay.
The new one.
Okay. So that first paragraph, nothing is changing.
Correct.
Okay. And in the other one, it was.
So paragraph E right below it, there's some
Yeah.
suggested changes there. Assignment of vacation, he just crosses out the word leave and just leaves that as vacation shall be arranged by the department head and his or, I assume it's supposed to say his or her designee, but it just says his or. Maybe it's supposed to say by the department head or designee. For such time or times as best serve the public interest. And he crosses out the end of it, which is, so the crossed out part says, provided, however, that each employee shall be entitled to use at least 40 hours of their vacation accrual during the period between June 1 and September 15th, if desired, based on seniority. So this seems to be saying, why does he recommend this change? The existing, this is what his comment is, the existing language potentially interferes with the town's operational needs by guaranteeing employees the ability to use a week of vacation during the summer.
Is this change being made on all the contracts across the town? Julie?
I'd have to look at the language in the other contracts. I don't know the answer to that. For
Well,
that
I mean,
particular one.
This is, I would say this is a very pro interest of the town change here, because it's basically saying there's no guarantee that someone could take a week's vacation between June and September 15th, where the current language does say that.
It
You know,
specifically provides that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
If they
it's,
wished,
right, yeah.
if they wished.
I mean, that's a long period of, if, I think that's a pretty, that'd be a pretty difficult thing for a manager to say to an employee, to say like, no, you can't take a vacation, even though you've earned it in the months of June, July, or August. But you know, I'm sure it must have happened at some point somewhere. So I don't, having a guarantee that you can use at least 1 week during the summer, I think is a nice thing that shouldn't be taken away. I'd also like to think that this has never been a problem, but language exists because maybe it was a problem at some point somewhere. Does anyone else have any comments on this for or against this language? Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I just think it should be kept in. It's not probably ever going to be an issue. I can't imagine it would be an issue, but it's good to have it in there.
Okay. Let's go on to the last paragraph here of suggested changes, where his recommendation that it reads now, no vacation time may be used before it is accrued, except that where such advance serves the needs of the employee and the town, it may be granted upon request of the employee by the department head, subject to the written approval of the town manager. So that's the suggested language. The current language is no vacation time may be used in advance of the July 1 date on which it would normally be credited, except that where such advance serves the needs of the employee and the town, it may be requested by the department head and authorized in writing by the town manager. In no case shall any such advance vacation exceed the number of days for which the employee would be entitled to compensation, were he she to terminate their services in good standing on the first day of such vacation. So he views this as a clarification. It seems like fairly similar, but maybe
It's
a little
still,
more.
it doesn't take anything away. It still
No.
gives them that flexibility
No.
between the employee and the direct manager.
Nancy?
This question is more for Heather. Do you think it should still state in advance of the July 1st date as opposed to before it's accrued, because they're accruing all year? So you could have someone in December say, I've accrued 6 months of vacation. Can I use it? But they're not really supposed to get it till July 1st. I know you can always deny it, but just,
I think in that scenario, it would be in conflict with when it's received.
Nancy, are you suggesting that maybe the only thing that's helpful in these changes is the wording before it is accrued?
right. To me, I think it should still say maybe use in advance of the July 1st date on which it would normally be credited.
Can somebody remind me if we went with anniversary date or July 1st in some of the previous votes? Because I think that July 1st is based off of that discussion that we had about anniversary dates, where everyone was, their anniversary date was July 1. And I just want to make sure that I understand what's being talked
No,
about here.
Everyone's vacation is credited on July 1st, no matter when their anniversary date is.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So is there? Heather, if the first. And I'm in favor of simplifying things, but if so maybe there's some combination here. If the first line remains, first sentence kind of remains the same there, the first line of paragraph F, as Nancy suggested, and then the other changes are accepted, does that make sense?
I'm just gonna read it in my head.
So this is what I'm thinking, that it would read, no vacation time may be used in advance of the July 1 date on which it would normally be credited, except that where such advance serves the needs of the employee and the town, it may be granted upon request of the employee by the department head to the written approval of the town manager. Period.
I think that works.
I think what Nancy suggested was leaving the word accrued in there. Didn't you, Nancy, before it's accrued?
No, I was taking that out. I was leaving the first sentence as it is in the
Okay.
third one.
So if the employee leaves of their own free will or ends up getting fired, then they would end up, how does that work? Do they have to pay the town back for vacation that they took but didn't accrue?
Not after the vacation time has already been used.
So can I ask for an example, Heather? We hire someone, but when you interviewed them and made the hire, they said, oh, in 2 weeks, I have a 2-week or a week vacation to Italy. So you hire them knowing that they would take the day unpaid, the week unpaid, or would you give them like a side letter? And if they left before they accrued, it would come out of their last paycheck.
In that situation, I think if they haven't received, their vacation time, they'd have to take it unpaid.
Okay, you wouldn't forego the time.
I don't think that situation has come up that I can recall.
Oh, really? We just had it. I hired my assistant clerk who had a 2-week trip to Hawaii booked. So we gave him the time, but we also had him sign a side letter that said if he left before he accrued the time, that time would come out of his remaining paychecks. You know, whatever payroll was left over, that time would then be taken out of that.
Yeah, thank you, Joanna. That's the situation exactly that I'm talking about.
Right, because there's a lot of people when they get hired at a new job already have trips booked or things scheduled, and they've not accrued when we work on an accrued basis.
That's typically how it's managed in my district as well.
Good solution.
Julie, are you keeping like a record of the kind of like suggested language for paragraph E?
That's the one we were just talking about. It
Yeah.
sounds like I'm trying to. I don't know what the last thing is. I think we're getting rid of the word accrued, keeping strike through. Reverting that back to what was there. And then what about the rest of the paragraph?
So basically, I think the suggestion is that the original language stays as is up until the word serve, where then the suggested changes like serve becomes serves, like that becomes adopted. So stuff that's struck out would be struck out.
Okay, and
And-
added. Okay,
Granted upon request of the employee, yeah, like that would be added. But the original language of up until the word serve would stay the same.
okay. This is why we're gonna have a review after.
Oh.
All right.
All right, so I think I've heard some agreement on. Well, now we got to go back to. We've already voted on not having the date of May 1st. Is that correct? Am I remembering that?
Correct.
All right, so that's done.
Well, I'm voting on E.
Yeah, well, we've discussed other things and we didn't vote on them yet. So there's like three, well, there's like four, well, three, I guess really three things that we need to vote on. And I think we could vote on all three together as long as the motion was clear on what those three things are, or we could take them all separately. What would people prefer?
Separately.
All right, so let's start with the employment termination. That's the first thing that we haven't voted on yet. And I guess I would make a motion that we accept the suggested changes under the section employment termination.
Second.
And again, this is, I just want to be clear, this would be, according to his language, this is paragraph C. So we're not voting on D or E yet. This is just paragraph C. So that includes all that language struck out in red about.
Under employee termination.
Yeah, and all currently available unused vacation, blah, blah, blah. So it's at the bottom of page 8 of the document that was sent out today or yesterday. All right, so we have a second on that. Barb, did you have a question before we vote?
I do. I thought Nancy had suggested and everyone agreed that we were going to leave in the verbiage that was in the original council area, and it
Correct.
just said paid for all accrued but unused. That's all.
That is correct.
Yeah, so the word accrued goes before unused.
Yes.
All right. So that would be the motion then that we, I guess just to be clear on it, in paragraph C, that we accept the changes with the addition of the word accrued before the word unused vacation leave, or phrase unused vacation leave. All those in favor? Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. All right, the next thing would be, that was C.
D had no changes, right?
It was deleting the summer vacation issue.
Not D, that was E.
Yeah, that was the next one.
So the suggestion to D was that we delete the third and last sentences, and I believe we discussed and agreed, well, discussion was that that probably wasn't a good idea, that that language was helpful. Is that, am I remembering that correctly? Nancy, Heather, yes? Okay. So
In
I
the
guess
version- In the version that we have online,
there are no suggested changes. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
That's the one we're looking at.
right.
Okay,
So I don't even think we have to take a vote on that because there's no
Correct.
suggested changes there.
correct.
Correct.
Good. Let's move on to E then. So E is,
I don't agree with
We're
the.
taking
idea.
out about the summer vacation.
Correct. I want to keep the summer vacation in. And
Correct.
I don't like, I guess it's just positivity for me. The assignment of vacation shall be arranged by the department head. It's not an assignment. I earned my vacation time. So it sounds like it's a dictatorial and the department head's going to assign me when I can go on vacation. And I could just be oversensitive and that's not the intent.
so what if it just said vacation shall be arranged by the department head and or like just get rid of the word, the assignment of?
Or vacation will be approved by. Because they're not arranging my vacation time, they're approving my vacation time. I'm arranging my vacation time.
Okay,
Good point.
yeah. So I guess the,
All vacation time shall be approved by the department head or his designee for such time best serve the public interest, and then provided however the summer week statement goes.
Yep.
okay, so the motion is to edit this to say vacation time shall be approved by the department head
Or designee,
or designee for such time or times as best serve the public interest, provided however that each employee shall be entitled to use at least 40 hours of their vacation accrued during the period between June 1 and September 15th, if desired, based on seniority.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Nancy? Oh, not Nancy. I'm just reading names. Donna,
Aye.
Eric's and I. All right, that's approved. And then paragraph F. So this is the motion here is that we keep the original language in the first line and second line up to the word serve, and that then accept the changes after that. So it'll say serves the needs of the employee and the town. It may be granted upon request of the employee by the department head to the written approval of the town manager. And other language there would be struck out.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Wendy,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. All right, so now section 18, paid holidays. This will likely be the last thing that we can deal with tonight. And the suggestion there, it adds Juneteenth as one of the observed holidays for the town. And there's a whole paragraph there that's highlighted in red, and it says, refer to Attorney Terry's comment number 9. And that comment number 9 says, I recommend adding Juneteenth to the list of holidays in paragraph A. In paragraphs D and E, I recommend the Personnel Committee consider whether the reference to department head, town manager, and direct supervisor are correct.
I'm sorry, where are you reading that, Eric? What paragraph is that?
So I just read the attorney's comment about the highlighted paragraph at the bottom of page 9 and top of page 10.
Oh, on his comment form?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, let me go to that one, I'm sorry. Page 9. Paid vacation. Oh, I'm not even looking at what these were, okay. Paid holidays, I recommend adding Juneteenth to the list of holidays. In paragraph D and E, I recommend personal consider the reference of department head, town manager, and the direct supervisor are correct. In paragraph D and E.
Apparently there's 3 terms used: department head, town manager, direct supervisor. And the question is, do we think those are correct? So here's what the highlighted paragraph says. Holiday leave will be granted on the day the town observes the holiday when possible. If the holiday falls on a Saturday, it will be observed on the preceding Friday. If the holiday falls on a Sunday, it will be observed on Monday. Eligible employees required to work on the day the town observes the holiday, they'll be entitled to a floating day, which has to be used within 30 days by agreement of the supervisor. So there's one use of the word, an employee. If the department head determines the holiday leave cannot be granted.
If you don't, can I chime in for just 1 second? We actually were having a great deal of discussion about this
Yes, you were.
previously. So I feel like we may want to table things for the moment and begin with this when we come back, because I feel like any ground we cover in the next 5 minutes, at our next meeting, we're not necessarily gonna, you know what I mean? We're gonna end up backtracking.
Well, I have a question, and maybe we could spend the 10 minutes talking about that, or someone can help me understand how it works. So in reading the paragraph he just said, I'm going to use last year. So last year's Christmas Day fell on a Saturday. Is that correct? I can't remember. I think it was, yes. Christmas Day fell on a Saturday, so we get the holiday on Friday. Now, our contract says we get a half a day Christmas Eve. So on Christmas Eve, we now have that off because it's a Friday. And I already got the Friday off because Christmas Day fell on Friday. So we got the half a day because the contract said we get a half a day for Christmas Eve on Thursday. So we got a half day Thursday, we had the holiday Friday, and then Christmas was Saturday. So where Town Hall in Lunenburg is closed on Friday, this is an observed holiday. How do the people get that Christmas holiday on Saturday? Do they get Thursday off?
So this year with Christmas Eve on a Friday, it was celebrated on the Friday, and all the employees get that day off. Christmas Day falling on a Saturday, in order to not celebrate 2 holidays on the same day, because typically it would be on the Friday, it was celebrated on the Monday after.
Okay, good. So they still get, even though Town Hall's closed Friday, they would get, if the holiday falls on a Saturday, they get that Friday. When do they get their holiday? They get it the Monday?
No, only, so the language is that if it falls, the holiday falls on a Saturday, it's celebrated on a Friday. If it falls on a Sunday, it's celebrated on Monday.
Right.
But in that situation, you couldn't observe 2 holidays on the same day. So that's why the Christmas Day holiday was celebrated the Monday. But, and the language is that it's for anyone who's scheduled to work on those days. So if you were only scheduled, if you're normally scheduled just to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and no holidays fall on those days, you don't get paid for a holiday.
Well, saying that we observe all these holidays on Saturday or Sunday, if they fall on a Saturday or Sunday, because they're getting these holidays, but if Friday's off, so they're losing out on the holiday twice, because they're losing when it falls on a Friday, and then they're losing it when it falls on a Saturday, because they're not getting bumped to Friday, because so they're actually losing that holiday 2 years in a row.
Which is, I think, where some of this discussion was,
Well, that's
we
what I
were
want to
having
try to
last
figure
time
out.
because
Right.
the
I
thought
want
of
to try to, that's not
giving
fair.
up the thought of sacrificing a floater potentially
Right.
when,
Because we're saying they get these holidays, whether we decided to close town hall due to budget doesn't alleviate that they still get paid for that holiday. Because the government has said if it falls on a Friday, give it to them. If it falls on a weekend, they get Friday. and Sunday. So if you decide to close on Friday due to budget, and they should still be getting that holiday, get these observed holidays. Whether it's a floating holiday, is windy. I just want to make sure they're not getting the holiday. And then we have to fix that because
what's going on?
Somebody's really loud.
mute.
Yeah.
If you're
Julie?
not muted, please mute.
If I can just chime in here, I just wanted to draw our attention to the word observe, not paid.
Right, but then if you go down to the highlighted paragraph, it tells you holidays will be granted on the day the town observes the holiday.
Yep.
Oh, and I'm sorry, section 15 says paid holidays. Oh, look at that. Black, big black bold, paid holidays. These are all the paid holidays.
If you're scheduled to work on that day,
Right.
the language has always said that.
Well, so then why are we observing ones that fall on Saturday or Sunday on Friday and Monday?
I guess I'm not clear on your question.
We're saying that if a holiday falls on a Saturday or Sunday, the employee's getting the benefit of that paid holiday on Friday or Monday because it fell on a weekend. And as section 18 says, you get paid these holidays. So if it falls on a Saturday or Sunday, they're getting it Friday or Monday.
That's pretty standard language in my experience.
Exactly. Because they get these observed holidays. If they fall on a weekend, you don't lose the holiday. We still want to observe that holiday. So if town hall's closed on a Friday, we should still be.
How does that work?
I'm sorry?
How will that work if the town hall is closed on Friday? Heather, I don't understand that.
Right now, they
Yeah.
don't get paid for it. They lose the holiday.
They're also not scheduled to work. So the situation I gave an example of, if someone works Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's their normal schedule to work. And there's no holidays that fall on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they don't get paid for a holiday. They're not regularly scheduled to work on that holiday.
But I think the question is town hall itself is closed on Fridays, right?
And yep, in that situation, those employees aren't scheduled to work, so they don't get paid for the holiday if it falls on a holiday.
Right. And what I'm saying to you is they're not scheduled to work on Saturday or Sunday, but we still give them the holiday because we've said we're going to give you these paid holidays. So because you've closed the town hall on Friday and they're making it up and working till 6 o'clock on Tuesday, Thursday, they should, that Friday holiday should be observed on Thursday. They shouldn't lose that holiday because we as a community voted to close town hall on Fridays and adjust their work schedules you should all be getting that holiday, either the Thursday or a floating holiday. But these paid holidays are holidays they should be getting paid for.
Casey, do you have a question or a comment?
I do. I agree with Joanna. We lose out on a lot of holidays that happen to fall on Fridays and Saturdays. And I would ask if other departments and unions, such as the fire department, are they paid for holidays that they do not work? Or is it just the SAP members?
The fire and police their language is different for holiday pay, but the DPW and clerical is the same. And there are clerical union employees that work in town hall as well.
Well, given that we only got about 2 minutes left, the first thing I'd like to say is that the attorney was not suggesting any changes to the existing language. I think just asking for clarification about the term supervisor, department head, and town manager. But that's definitely not what we're discussing. So I would say if Joanna, if you want to suggest, some revised language for what you think would work better, you're obviously, maybe that's something that you could bring to the next meeting. But as it is, all this was, he basically had one edition of Juneteenth and then a question about those titles. So if you want to suggest some more significant change to that last paragraph, that's obviously for the next meeting. But I think it would probably, having some language in advance that could be shared with the group would probably help us at least understand what the possible solution might be, if that's what the committee wants to do, is to change that.
Well, yeah, I think we should check with legal, because you're saying I get these paid holidays. They're not taking a day off. It's not that they're not scheduled to work on Fridays. They work till 6 o'clock on Tuesday and Thursday because we as a community voted to close town hall on Friday. So, and it says that we observe weekend because most places work Monday through Friday, and we would observe holiday Saturday and Sunday. As I said, in Maynard, if a holiday fell on a Friday, our Christmas Eve that was on Friday got bumped to Thursday because the contract says I get paid a half day for Christmas Eve. This says I get paid for these holidays, and they're missing out on Friday and Saturday holidays, which is, I don't believe to be correct. And I think I would like legal to weigh in on that, because you're right there saying these are my paid holidays that we're going to observe, and now they're not getting paid for them. Thank you.
Maybe before I know we got a break here, can we set our next meeting date?
Do we want to go out 1 week or 2?
Don't we have a March deadline for completing all this?
21st or something like that?
Articles are due by March 21st, yes.
Yeah, I guess I'd probably suggest 1 week, then we forget less in the process too.
Mm-hmm. Does next Wednesday night work? Because next Monday's a holiday.
I'm not available next week.
All right. Well, yeah, it is a school vacation week, so there might be a number of people not available. All right, so how about the following week?
Could we do the Monday's the 20th? I can't. I'm only available Tuesday that following week. I know isn't ideal, but
I can't do Tuesday. So this is the week of like Monday, February 28th. Yeah, I could do Wednesday, March 2nd.
I could do later that night. I just can't do right at 5.
March 2nd. I guess I'm not very busy. I can do March 2nd at any time.
I can do the 2nd.
What time could you start, Wendy?
I don't know. I have an appointment I've moved like 3 times now, but I can move it again. I'll bump it. Nope, I'll bump it out. It's not anything major. I will bump that out tomorrow. We'll do 5 o'clock. We gotta get this done.
Does that work?
Donna,
for-
are you available on March 2nd?
Yeah, I can make that work, I think. And maybe it may be one of those situations where I'm on the road and I can't do it, but I will do my best. That's, of all of the things we've talked about, that's the best date, honestly.
All right, so 5 o'clock on March 2nd?
Also via Zoom, is that right?
Yeah, that works.
All right. Make a motion to adjourn at 6:34.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Sue,
Aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Eric's and I. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Good, everyone.